Let's bring in Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com, and kind of take a look back at the NFC East and everything that happened there. Mike, we take a look at number one, the Jalen Hurts game. Everybody all year, their offense is clunky. It doesn't feel right, all the problems they have. And a couple of years ago, Jalen said, actually it was last year, he said, is that what y'all wanted to see? It's almost like he just stuffs these in his back pocket for when everybody's questioning them. Is this a sustainable offense the way they're playing?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that he says, is this what you want to see? Yeah, this is what we want to see, and we want to see it on a weekly basis. I don't think we're asking too much. I mean, that's your job to go out there, and it's amazing. You know, good things happen when you throw the ball down the field to the wide receivers. I mean, you see it in the NFL all the time, and when you get the ball in the hands of your playmakers, you know, all of a sudden I wake up watching the game and say to myself, oh, yeah, that's right. Devontae Smith is on the Eagles. I didn't know he was on the Eagles for the first 5 or 6 weeks. Yesterday, I realized, hey, he's a pretty good wide receiver, and he's on the team. So, yeah, throw the ball down the field. Good things happen. And, yeah, this is what we want to see on a weekly basis, and that's not asking too much.
This feels like Saquon in New York, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, this is the kind of Saquon that we saw when he was with the Giants, you know, kind of running behind a struggling offensive line, and you get games like he's had this season, and then he'd break out for like 150 yards or 200 yards in a game, and then he'd go back to 15 carries for 42 yards. This is exactly the Saquon Barkley that we saw in New York, when he ran behind a struggling offensive line in New York, and he's running behind, an offensive line that has not performed up to expectations with the Eagles this season.
Yeah, I know that they are really struggling to run the ball and get him going. He obviously had 18 carries yesterday, but still nowhere near a 100-yard game yet this year. Yesterday, Saquon Barkley, 18 for 44. He has fewer than 100 yards in all 7 games to start the season here. I want to get your take. There's some reporting going on about Brandon Graham, and that, they're in talks of possibly, this seems like it's obvious that this is going to end up happening probably after the bye, you would imagine. But do you want to see Brandon Graham back? Would he help anything with this defense?
Mike, I'm stunned by this. How long has the guy been retired? You got to bring him out of retirement because you're not getting enough pressure on the quarterback. That's an indictment, to the defensive coordinator. It's an indictment to everybody on that Eagles defense. And you've got to reach back in time now and get Brandon Graham back out and put him on the football field. How effective is he going to be? Is he in shape? I think it's kind of like trying to buy a lottery ticket. I mean, what's next? Are we going to go get Bill Bergey back and put him at linebacker? I mean, who else are we going to bring? Who else are we going to raise from the dead and put out there? It's ridiculous.
Well, I tell you what, when I was a little surprised to hear it as well, that I can understand him being interested. I'm surprised, though, that it's been confirmed that the Eagles actually reached out to him. That's where the concerning thing, the surprising thing, I don't know if concerning is the right word, but the surprising thing to me is that the team felt desperate enough to call him.
Yeah, it's concerning because the team recognizes that their best option is a guy who's been retired and a guy, I think he had a really good season in his last year, but, a couple seasons before that, he was up and down. I just think it's ridiculous. I mean, why don't the Giants go get Lawrence Taylor, see if he can play? Put 56 out there on Sunday this week and see if he's like Y.A. Tittle. Let's put him at quarterback. It's ridiculous.
Now we're getting a little ridiculous with Y.A. Tittle. Your point taken. However, we'll see if the Eagles – I would imagine, because they're going to play the Giants this week coming up, and you're obviously not going to have Brandon Graham signed and playing in a game. But I thought that was interesting that probably, after – maybe during this week and then after the bye week, which is coming up here, let's get to the Giant game yesterday. 19-0 and 26-8, and then the next thing you know, that game falls apart, and some people are wondering, how the heck did it happen? Well, Mike, how the heck did it happen?
Yeah, good question, Mike. I'll take you through my day yesterday. I'm watching the game. Going in, I thought it was a tough spot for the Giants. I thought coming off a win off the Eagles, going out to Denver, Mile High, Bo Nix, Sean Payton. I said, this is a tough spot for the Giants. So I'm watching the game, and all of a sudden the Giants are up something ridiculous. What was it, 26-3 or something like that. I go out to get myself, I'm hungry. I go, the Giants got this in hand. Let me run up the street to the local Wawa. I get a little quesadilla. I come back with my quesadilla, ready to sit down and enjoy a Giant win. All of a sudden, it's 26-23. I'm like, what the hell happened in 5 minutes here? I left the house for a quesadilla. I had a win. Now I come back. It's a life and death battle. And then you watch the game unfold. And I'll tell you a couple things, Mike. First of all, when Jackson Dart scored with 40 seconds left, I was rooting for them not to score at that point because I knew right away, boy, they scored too early. If he's ruled down and he scores on the next play, that takes another 20 seconds off the clock, and the Giants probably win the football game. So I'm like, oh my God, even when he scored, I'm like, he scored too early. The second thing is, to me, Brian Dable, he's got to really watch himself. Now, this is the Giants and kickers. I've never seen a franchise having their kicker hurt all the time. Like, if the kicker can't stay healthy and we got to call on backups to continually kick in big games, and those backups fail to perform, well, that's ridiculous. You can lose one game because the kicker got hurt, but they basically lost yesterday because the kicker got hurt. They bring in a guy who misses 2 extra points, and you lose the game basically because of it. And as bad as the loss was, and it was an all-timer, what makes Giant fans like myself feel a little bit better, a little bit solaced, is we have a quarterback. I think Jackson Dart is the real deal. He comes down the field there in Denver on the road, mile high, and, he did it against the Eagles. He does it on the road against Denver. We have a quarterback, so that's a little thing in our back pocket. But you're right. Terrible loss, but kind of cushioned a little bit because it's not a hopeless situation going forward. We have ourselves a quarterback.
I said before I wasn't a big Dart fan coming out of the draft. I felt like you can't really judge him on this season with Neighbors and the injuries there, but he has certainly been better than I would have given him credit for entering the season. I would like to see him play, actually, as an Eagles fan. No, I don't want to see him play with Neighbors because he might actually exceed. I wasn't a big Knicks fan coming out of college last year, and he played better than I thought last year. Now, he's been kind of up and down this year. We'll see. I mean, him playing as well as he did without Neighbors so far, I've been really surprised by that. But it looks like you're right. They might be in the right. They're going to be in a weird spot because they're probably not going to win a lot of games. But you're excited about the quarterback. Do you keep the quarterback with the coach together? That whole situation is going to be a tough spot for them to kind of be in here moving forward. But they lose to fall to 2-5. And then the other game, the Cowboys, are they actually the team that the Eagles should be most concerned about in the NFC East?
Well, the Cowboys offensively are an outstanding team, but defensively, I think they lack things defensively. And overall, if you look at it, I think still the Giants, Cowboys situation, who's better, who's not. I'd like to see the Giants play the Cowboys again, this time with Dart at quarterback. So we'll see how that unfolds. But I think this is a big game coming up this week for the Giants and the Eagles. If the Giants want to do anything this season, they've got to win. They got to win in Philadelphia this Sunday. So if they want to, make a run at the playoffs, maybe save some guys' jobs, this game to me is a must-win for the Giants. If they don't win this game, they go to 2-6, and then you kind of, okay, let's see what we got here. Are we going to make changes at the end of the season? You win this game, you beat the Eagles for the second time in 3 weeks. You're 3-5. You got a little hope. You got a little bounce in your step. And for the Eagles, I think you're right. I mean, what people said about yesterday's game and Carson Wentz. Boy, if McCarthy's the quarterback, he's healthy enough to start at quarterback. Do the Eagles win that game? Or does Wentz doing what Wentz does, make key mistakes in key spots, like a pick six at the right time, sort of push the Eagles over the top? So to me, if the Eagles want to kind of get back their air of superiority, like the glow that they had about them, that the Giants knocked off them in the Meadowlands, last Thursday, I think this is a big game for the Eagles to beat the Giants and kind of reestablish themselves as an elite team in the NFC.
Well, the NFC was wild. The NFC East, I should say, was wild. And the NFC in general has been just it is going to be so competitive to see what happens in this NFC. Obviously, you got all these teams all in the mix here in the North. You got Green Bay with Detroit and Chicago and Minnesota. All of them are at 500 or better. Tampa is 5-1. Carolina won for the third straight week to go to 4-3. Seattle, the Rams, the Niners, they're all winners this weekend. So the NFC stays very competitive. Mike, before we get out of here, the return of Joel Embiid played in a preseason game the other night and actually played pretty well. Cautiously optimistic. Should we let our guard down just a little bit?
No, keep the guard up. I don't know how. Look, it's great to see him play. It's great. Like, they're dropping these little breadcrumbs, like these little candy cones out there for us, right? Embiid's healthy, looks great. Oh, all of a sudden, Paul George, full participant in practice. Hey, if you look closely, can this team win 50 games? Hey, there's no doubt, Mike, when Embiid, George, and Maxey are out on the court with some of the other guys they have, this is a team that's capable of, maybe winning 50 games in a season. But we all know Joel Embiid is not going to play more than 50 games this season. And we all know he doesn't have what it takes to survive a 2 to 3 month grind from April to June to win an NBA championship. So, flip on the TV this week when they open the season, enjoy the few bright moments. But overall, to me, the 76ers, because of the injury history, is a road that leads nowhere this season.
VJ Edgecombe looked very entertaining the other night. My observation was this: a much more younger and athletic crew. I don't know what Embiid's health is going to be. I am not going to sit here and say that I'm banking on that, but with or without Embiid, they at least have some athletic, fun guards that are, if Embiid's healthy, I think they would be, put it this way, if Embiid stays healthy, with the guards that they have, this could be a really good team. Are they a title contender? Probably not, but probably in the mix for a top 5 seed. Without Embiid, they would obviously be in trouble because they just don't have the size. But cautiously optimistic is what I took from the game Friday night. They open on Wednesday night right here on 97.3 ESPN. All right, we'll continue to keep our attention on everything that's going on here. And, of course, Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. PressOfAtlanticCity.com has plenty more on all the Philly sports scene. Mike, thanks, man.
All right, we'll see you guys down the road. Enjoy Game 7 tonight. The 2 best words in all of sports. We'll see you later.
That's right. It is tonight, and you can listen to Game 7.